Wataguan, this is Max. This is my lovely wife. How you guys doing? Just thoughts on The Last of Us Season 1, Episode 1. I'm more of a gamer in the house. Sometimes she games with me every now and then, but she's like, casual, low-grade gamer. She don't really game like me, But I played Last of Us on PS3, played it on PS4. When Last of Us 2 came out, played that on PS4. I haven't played the Last of Us remake on PS5 yet. But I may consider playing it because, the show's out. I'm a little bit hyped for it or whatnot. So I'm going to give my thoughts on the show based on my knowledge of the game. And she's just going to give her thoughts because I want to know what people think for those who didn't play the game. So she hasn't played the game and we just want to know her thoughts on that. So what are your thoughts?
So basically, overall, as a whole, for episode 1, I think the episode was really good. It was a really good introduction to the game. Even though I haven't played the game, I just seen glimpses of it. Overall, I think episode 1 did a really good job introducing and kind of giving you an idea of what the game is about. My biggest thing are the characters. He was able to show me what the game characters look like, and then watching the episode, I was pretty much comparing what they look like in the video game to what the characters look like in the episode. And for Ellie, I think I don't like the actress that is playing her role, but I guess that's the best person that they can find for her role, which is fine. As far as the main character, what is his name? This guy right here?
Joel?
Yeah, as far as Joel, I think he looks a lot like the game character, and so they did a really good job finding that perfect person to play his role, and I think he did a really good job as an actor during episode 1.
Yeah, based on the picture I showed you, right?
Yeah, based on the pictures that I've seen of the video game characters.
I think Joel should have, I think Pedro, the actor, they probably should have gave him more of a beard. Okay. To kind of look more like Joel. Yeah. In real life. Because
here he just has a short, scruffy beard. It's not really like a full.
But out of all the characters, I think he looks
a lot like the game character. Yeah.
Joel from the game.
Agreed.
Out of all the characters.
Definitely agreed.
So tell us a little bit about the beginning. What you thought about the beginning of the show?
So in the beginning, the first time I watched it, I felt like it was a little bit boring. But then I had to get out of it, and I had to say, okay, they're actually telling a story here. They're actually telling you or having a discussion about basically what's about to happen without realizing that it's going to happen. So these 3 guys are basically talking about a fungi and how life would be if fungi were to take over a host. And basically that's pretty much what happens in episode 1. We pretty much see how a fungi is transmitted through all these people, turning them into some kind of creature, zombie, whatever.
It's not a zombie.
Okay, so it's turning them into some kind of creature. Yeah, it's turning them into a fungi creature, attacking other people and turning them into fungi creatures as well. And then basically it gives you like a rewind of how things are going in the present day. So your thoughts?
Yes. Well, for the most part, how they started the beginning of the show, I liked it. They kind of gave an idea of how, kind of like a little synopsis of how a fungi can take over the world and how there would be no cure. So they kind of give you a little backstory. Nothing like super detailed, in my opinion. But when they cut to the actual scenes, that's when things start to pick up. But anyways, because my daughter was calling me. Pretty much, there's differences between the show and the game. The show starts off introducing most of the characters, letting you get to know the characters, letting you get to know Joel and Ellie and Sarah. Sarah has a lot more runtime in the show compared to the game. Because in part one, you're playing the game. You know, Sarah's in the house, Joel is gone. So Sarah's in the house by herself. Sarah is actually white in the game. In the show, Sarah is black, but the actress that played Sarah, I think she did a really, really good job. I like how they kind of gave that quick backstory and jumped right into the main characters. As far as the beginning, let's say the first 20 minutes of the show, I was like, okay, I'm getting used to it. Like my wife said, Pedro playing Joel is okay. I just think that he should have had a little bit of a thicker beard to go along with the character. Bella Ramsey, I think her acting was good, but I still don't see her as Ellie yet. But this is just part one, right? And I like how they introduced Tommy, and I did like how they kind of compared to the game, there was a lot of scenes that were cut to make it more into a show. But I did like how they introduced all the characters, brought everybody in. Like the three main characters for the beginning of the game: Tommy, Joel, and Ellie. So a little bit more about your thoughts. Let's just say that the first 30 minutes of the show.
It was sad what happened to...
Not to me, but I guess.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was pretty sad because they killed her off early on in the episode.
But in the game, like I told you, she dies in the game.
I
knew it was coming. So when I was watching it with my wife, I was like, it's coming, baby. I'm like, I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's coming.
I didn't know what was going to happen.
She didn't know. So for her, I guess it's more sad. I would per se
because it was sad how it happened. It wasn't even because the fungi.
Yeah.
It was because she actually got hurt by someone who, was trying to be cautious of if they had the fungi or not, which I don't believe they did, which they didn't.
Yeah, which also actually happens in the game.
Okay.
A federal soldier actually kills her.
Okay.
And in the show, that part was in the game.
Okay.
Where Tommy came and blew that guy away and saved Joel, even though Joel's daughter Sarah got hit. But it was good acting. I think that part was great acting.
Okay, what about let's rewind a little bit. What about the part when they were inside the truck, that airplane that came and crashed and caused her to have the injury in the first place to run? Was that also in the video game?
Damn, I can't remember.
It was like the airplane comes down, crashes into
Yeah, I think that was. Yeah, I think that was in the game
and
actually.
Then the tire flew, and it basically the airplane.
The scene was a little bit different.
Okay.
A tad bit different, but the game is similar. It was similar.
Okay.
It was similar. I think, to be honest, I think this is probably one of the best shows based off of a video game that I've ever seen.
Okay.
Per se, in my opinion, this is just my opinion. I'm not saying it's a fact, you know what I mean. But this is just my opinion.
But I hope that this is not a show that's gonna become like The Walking Dead. Like The Walking Dead has 10 seasons of repetitiveness. Even though I probably stopped at season 4, season 5. I hope that this does not become like that.
Well, I don't think the show's gonna be like that.
Okay.
Because based on the game, there's so much things that's going on. You got the Federal, you got the Fireflies.
Okay.
You got lots of people in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But we still don't know how all the other episodes are going to be.
Right.
But
this is just based off
episode 1.
Okay.
So far, I like it. I like how they did the scene when they escaped quarantine and they're, since you didn't play the game, but to me, I played the game. That the scene when they were escaping, going through the tunnels and all of that. That's pretty much, that's pretty. I wouldn't say 100% similar to the game, but real close to the game.
Okay, that's pretty much the gist of what happened.
Yeah, it's pretty much the gist of what happened.
Okay.
And then in the Last of Us world, you have to look at it too like this, like no one's good. I know people love Joel, people love Ellie, blah 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 blah, but people are just trying to survive, right? People are just trying to survive. In the beginning of the show, they kind of show how Joel and Tess finds out about Ellie with
that
mark,
was big.
That mark on her.
Yeah, that was a big one because they didn't know that. The lady who untied her from that room, Marlene knew about Ellie.
And Marlene is in the
game as well.
In the game as well,
okay.
And she's actually a black character in the game as well.
But did that happen in the game as well, where Joel and Tess didn't know that Ellie had that gift?
Sort of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
In a sense, yeah.
Okay, so they tried to keep it.
Yeah, they tried to keep it close to the game as possible.
Okay.
I thought they did a pretty good job with that scene.
Okay.
But a lot of things were still skipped in the game, and that scene was just.
Okay.
It just came like early on during the show.
Well, episode 1 was already long to begin with. They could have extended it to be like a movie, but then that would have just kind of like ruined the
pretty much
attention.
Almost like a movie. It was an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean that would ruin people's attention span to episode 1 to pay attention to detail. For
people who never played the game, they will, I guess they will be more inclined to be like, that. You know what I mean? But like you said, you didn't know that Ellie had the cure in her blood.
Yeah.
Right?
I just thought she was just this random girl causing mischief, and they caught her and wanted to turn her into one of them.
Yeah, into one of the Fireflies.
Right.
What else can we talk about?
We could talk about expectations for season 2.
Episode 2?
Episode 2?
Yeah.
So for episode 2, with myself, I'm pretty much looking forward to how Joel and Tess is going to react to the news of Ellie having the cure. Are they going to keep her around? What are they going to do with her? What are they going to do to her? Because Tess put Joel in... No, not Tess. What was her name again?
Marlene?
Yeah, Marlene asked Joel and Tess to do this mission to take Ellie somewhere. And it's like, okay, are they going to complete the mission by taking her somewhere now that they know that she's a cure? Or are they going to hostage her for themselves instead of completing the mission that Marlene asked them to do?
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's a good thought. Obviously, I played the game, so I kind of have an idea.
Okay.
But I'm not going to ruin it for her. But in episode 1, Joel is actually looking for Tommy. He needs a battery, a car battery. But the guy that stole the battery in the show, based off in the game, Joel actually killed that guy.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. The guy that Marlene was beefing with.
Okay, but he was already dead once they arrived to the building where Marlene was.
Yes,
in the episode.
Yes, in that episode. He tries to sell the battery again or
so
something.
That was different.
Yeah, okay. That was a little different compared to the game. Because in the game, like, Joel actually went after those guys.
Did Marlene and Joel know each other prior to Joel entering the building? Or did they just stumble upon each other and then they just...
Well, in the show, how they made it in the show is like...
They made it seem like they didn't know each other.
Huh?
They made it seem like they didn't know each other.
Somewhat, yeah.
Okay.
In the show, they made it seem like Joel is like, damn, I don't like her,
right.
I don't trust nobody, blah, 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 you know what I mean?
Yeah. And he only trusted Tess because he was working with her.
In the show, Tess and Joel was a little bit more. What's that word I'm looking for? Ambiguous, kind of like more open. Like they had an open, like better communication, more open relationship. They even like at that one point I was like, hold up, is Joel about to?
That's what I thought. That's what I thought, because I was like, okay, I know that they work together and they're in this same like kind of apartment looking building together. Okay, so are they gonna start dating? Are they gonna like what is it? I know that they were partners, like to protect each other, but I was like, I hope that
Tess
they don't
laid down and cuffed him and everything, and I was like, whoa.
They're gonna have like a relationship in the episode, whereas did they have the relationship in the game? Or they were just strictly like
partners. Okay. Strictly partners.
I don't know, maybe somewhere down the line in the future episodes they might have a scene where they end up doing adult stuff.
I hope not. I mean, who cares? Why would I care?
The producers care, the writers may care. I don't know, they might give the audience a twist, make it like a typical show.
Yeah, I'm not sure what type of twist they'll probably add to it, but so far, based on episode 1, they kind of like, it's more about the characters per se. They didn't really show too much of the infection.
It was pretty much introducing you to each character, who they are, and what, sort of their backstory. Mainly Joel and I guess not Ellie's backstory, but mainly Joel's backstory. How he lost his daughter, how he lost Tommy and he's looking for him. Mainly his backstory. So I hope in episode 2 and in future episodes they introduce they show Ellie's future or her past and show everyone else's past, so you can get to know the characters a little more, because I would like to know the characters before they jump into current and present day with this one guy.
Yeah, so the present day is actually 2023.
Right.
From when they said like way back then. So it's like way like 20 years later,
it's
pretty
like
much.
About
20 years later, which is just like the game 20 years later.
Yeah.
And this is all what they were saying in the beginning of the show. How fungus actually came to fruition 20 years later, but it's set in present day. But there's no spores. Like in the game, there's actually spores where you put on a mask.
Okay.
There's some missions you play. You go through there. Right. Without the mask, you can get infected.
Of course.
They don't have that in the show. Okay. So, like, if you was to play the game, you'll be really in depth with how Naughty Dog, Sony did the scene. I think you'll be a little bit more involved. Like, because the game actually shows a little bit more than what the actual show shows. But that's like almost every show. It's like I've never seen a show that's like 100% detailed, like the game.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Uncharted movie that Sony came out with. Right. The characters in Uncharted look nothing like Nathan Drake doesn't look like Nathan Drake in the movie. I never show you the Uncharted game.
Don't even know what you're talking about.
But I still think it was a good movie. It was a solid movie. It wasn't like amazing or anything, but it was pretty good.
I think it'll be kind of crazy to have a movie or a show based on a video game in exactly, in sequence, because it's going to ruin the movie and episode for the person that played the game. Like, you're going to be like, okay, I know what happens here. I know what, like, the person is going to be guessing every single scene, when it happens.
Or they could always do some of the scenes, like, for example, like, in the future.
Yeah,
per se.
But
they could do that for those who play the game, but
I feel like it should always be a twist. Whether there's a video game based off of a movie or a show, or whether it's a show or a movie based off a video game, there should always be a twist for your audience, because then it's going to ruin that experience when that person, So good for me, I didn't play the game, so I get to see what happens next in episodes.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you with that to a certain extent. Also in the show, I don't know if you missed it, but they also kind of show you how they communicate with music codes and stuff, like the 80s, song, 60 song.
I probably didn't catch that.
Yeah.
I probably didn't catch that. But I'll pay more attention to that in episode 2. And today's Sunday. We're actually going to watch episode 2 tonight.
Yes.
And basically come back and do the same thing with our thoughts.
Yes, exactly. So, this is just a quick thought video. We weren't trying to make a long video, but just basic thoughts on episode 1. I do like it. If I was to give it a review, I would probably give it a 8, maybe an 8.5. The show is quality, man. It's quality. Sony doing their thing. Neil Druckmann doing his thing. Neil Druckmann is one of the producers of the show. He's one of the creators of the game, producers, whatnot. I think episode 1 was pretty solid. I did like the scene where, like, okay, Sarah went next door, and like Grandma started twitching.
Oh yeah.
But Sarah didn't know what was happening.
Yeah, that scene was like, I think that was the best scene out of episode 1.
Yeah, Sarah didn't know what exactly was happening.
Yeah.
She was just like, okay, something's up, but she just walked out and left.
Right, because she didn't get to see the grandma twitching. She stopped twitching before, but then later on that night when she comes back, she hears something in the kitchen and she sees the grandma like nibbling on, the lady's neck or whatever. So that part was like the best scene for me because it was a lot of action. It was a lot of gruesomeness.
You like that action?
Yeah, you got to see what the fungi does to the human host.
They were like, based in the game, I would just say like grandma became a runner.
Yeah. Okay.
There's different levels to the infection.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So they keep that the same in the video game.
Yeah, it's like I mean, you look at her as more of a runner.
Okay, and she was running pretty fast.
Beginning stages, the brain is still deteriorating. As time go on, it gets worse.
Even when Joel was running with his daughter in his hand through the diner, through the restaurant with his daughter, that guy, the runner that was running behind it, he was also fat. Like he was slamming his body and every single thing, like trying to get to them. That all of that were like
you like that the action scenes, action scenes, yeah. So what would you give the show out of 10 so far on episode 1? What would you give episode 1 out of 10 from someone who never actually played the game?
I would give it an 8, and I only give it an 8 because it starts off slow in the beginning unless you're paying attention to the backstory that they're giving. They put action, gruesome action, crazy action in the middle, and then it dies down again. Like the whole, I'll say maybe like last 40, 30 minutes of the episode is like slow and, so I would give it an 8 because I don't like that. I don't like where the anticipation and then boom, they hit you and then boom, it's like, I kind of don't like, I like action throughout. In the beginning, it could be slow, but then I would like action all the way throughout and leave me with action in the end, which they actually did by revealing that Ellie was the cure. So I would just give it an 8.
8?
Yeah.
That's a good score. So I'm hoping episode 2 has a little bit more like infections coming, like you can see more of the infected. Yeah. A little bit more of what's going to happen. I believe episode 2 is probably going to have more violence.
Okay.
But we'll see when it drops.
It'll be good to see a main character get infected. I don't know if in the video game a main character gets infected, but to put a twist to the episode, it'll be good to have a main character get infected, even if it's Tommy. Like, if Joel finds Tommy, it'll be good to see Tommy infected. Or he ends up getting infected after they've reunited. Yeah. That'll be a good twist.
Yeah, because like in the game, you can get infected. I don't know if you know, but in the game, you can get infected by getting bit or by the spores in the air. Okay. But they don't have. It's already been debunked that spores are not in the show. Okay. So in the game, you can, like, if you go into a scene where there's spores, you actually put on a mask. So I think episode 2 might be a little bit crazy. Maybe, like you said, maybe there might be a twist. They might just throw something in there where somebody like, oh my gosh, they got infected. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, based on the game, how the story goes, I would just have to see. I don't want to ruin it for her, so I don't want to talk too much about the game compared to the show. But yeah, and that's our thoughts. Anything else you want to say?
No.
All right, guys. Peace.